Well, good afternoon. This is Craig calling from Texas, the Brit in Texas, and I'm jumping on the vinyl tag for 2023, Rob Walker's vinyl tag. So I hope you enjoyed this. I've certainly enjoyed some of your videos that you've put on the VC channel. So without further ado, let's get into this because there's a lot to get through really, 20 questions. So, best album of 2022. Well, my son got me switched onto this. This is a guy from England called Robo Has. The album's called Violet. Very contemporary jazz, a lot of urban electronic rhythms, really interesting music. If you go around London, around the record shops, this is the kind of stuff you're going to hear. A very different music culture to what you find here in America, certainly in places like Texas. But yeah, I usually get these imported from England when they come out. I think he's done 5 albums, Robo Hands. This is on King Underground. Usually he does a series of limited edition releases for each title. This is limited to 200 copies and it's on magenta vinyl. But really good. The only complaint for me is they're too short. You know, the album seems to be over before you know it. But anyway, that's for me my best album of 2022. But I've also been listening to his other stuff, so they've all been my best. Last act I saw live. Well, this was here in Houston. I saw the British guy or act named Bonobo. This was his Fragments tour. Sorry, I've only got the CD. Didn't buy the album. But again, it's kind of electronic dance music, but not really club music. It's kind of a very up-tempo. I don't know how you'd explain it really. It's he does feature a lot of guest vocalists. Like on this, we've got Jordan Reiki, Jamelia Woods, Joji, Kadia Bonet, Miguel Atwood Ferguson. Really atmospheric. A lot of the vocals are really emotive, soulful. So if I'm not doing the music justice and trying to describe it, get on your favourite streaming device and give it a listen. This was his earlier album, Migration. I did get that on vinyl. I just love the artwork with all these releases. This is the, what is this, 180 gram? Yeah, 180 gram double heavyweight. Postcard sets, book, deluxe edition. I've also got the box set of North Borders, I think it is. And I also got the deluxe edition of North Borders live, so you'll definitely want to check that out. The live, that comes as a CD and DVD set in a book. So yeah, very interesting stuff. What's next on the hit list? First album was their best. Well, for me, and I have seen this band mentioned before on the VC, if you like your early 80s drum machine infused goth music, then you'll be very familiar with the Sisters of Mercy. This is, I'm sorry for the glare, this is their first album, First, Last and Always. I was switched on to this by the track Marianne. The album hadn't even come out, I don't think. I'd heard them perform it live on a British TV show. It used to come on a Friday evening called The Tube, presented by Jules Holland, who was a pianist in Squeeze. Later went on to have his own late night music show on British television on a Friday called Later with Jules Holland. That's an excellent show. You get watch some of them back on YouTube. I've got artists from all over the world performing live on there. But anyway, I digress. Sisters of Mercy, for me, this sound on First, Last and Always was their best. Kind of went a bit commercialised later, but I would say don't spend a lot of money on buying the MFSL pressing. It's terrible. If this was the only MFSL pressing I'd ever listened to, I'd think they're all terrible. I'd never spend another penny on any of them. It sounds like whoever produced this, or mastered it, I don't know who it was. It sounds like they got cloth ears. The production is terrible, tinny, light. The production on side A is totally mismatched to side B. They sound totally different. And I now regret selling my OG copy, the British release, so I'll have to get another one of those at some point. But hey, maybe this MFSL copy is something I gift to another member at some point, which is one of the questions that comes up a bit later, isn't it? Okay, so a hat trick. Hat trick, usually a British term for somebody that scores 3 goals in a game, soccer game of football. So we're looking for 3 of the same. Easy one for me, really. One of my favourite bands of the 80s, and probably one of the best male vocalists to come out of the UK ever. I know that sounds like inflated words, doesn't it? But his peers recognised him as being so too. I remember when he died. He died, unfortunately, committed suicide. But Bono of the U2s, said that he was probably one of the greatest vocalists to come out of England. The artist is Billy Mackenzie, but with his band, The Associates. This is the original cassette of the album Sulk. This was really when they hit the peak of their success with the classic tracks Party Fears 2 and Club Country. This is the original Chrome Dioxide cassette. Remember those CRO2 cassettes? Side 1 was the full US edition, which had Love Hangover on, an 18-carat love affair, and then side 2 was the UK edition, which didn't have those, but it had some bonus extra tracks remixed. I've had this ever since it came out. I've still got quite a few cassettes in my collection. I don't really ever play them. I doubt I will, but it's something I've held on to. I've got the remastered edition that came out in 2016 on CD, like a deluxe double pack CD. It's got the full album plus loads of bonus tracks. I think like John Peel sessions. Let's have a look what it says here. Groundbreaking even LP remastered from quarter-inch tape, includes Party Fears 2 and Club Country. And it's called here we go, 5 previously unreleased recordings. There we go. And then, of course, it came to the 40th anniversary last year, so they released it on vinyl. Deluxe 140 gram blue vinyl. It's got 3 CDs that comes with it, with outtakes, monitor mixes, rarities, Peel sessions, nice booklet. My only grievance with these type releases is that the bonded sleeves that they stick in here are absolutely terrible. They just don't hold up, and this record bursts through the edge seams. So real shame that some of these labels don't put more thought into packaging. But that's my 3. And incidentally, the 40th edition vinyl came with a bonus cassette. This is actually signed by Alan Rankin, who's the last remaining survivor of the original Associates lineup. It's the cassette single of 18-carat love affair and Love Hangover on a gold cassette. It's a little bit of trivial bonus material. Okay, so album title that starts and ends with the same letter. I suppose I could have cheated and done these as 80s soundtracks, because the music really is harking back to Tangerine Dreamlike, which, hold on to that thought because they will appear later. Tangerine Dreamlike, electronic soundscape. This is Stranger Things. S for Stranger Things at the end of things, obviously. Volume 1 and 2. I bought these because these are the limited editions that are done through Invader Records, which do a lot of interesting sort of kind of krautrock rock and the film music, set up by, was it Jeff Barrow of Portishead. On limited edition colour vinyl, I'm not going to get them out. I think that's some splatter vinyl, but I really like these because they are like original scores. It's just atmospheric electronic music. The later editions of this were more like soundtracks, and had singles of artists like the Kate Bush track was featured on the most recent series of Stranger Things. But there you go, I'm waffling. There's more electronic music, and that won't be the last. So someone born in the same year as me. Well, I'm a big house music fan, always has been, always will be, and love to DJ it. Todd Terry, famous New York DJ and producer. I think he's like 4 days older than me, born in April 1967, just released in the UK in 1989, after having numerous US 12 inches hit the UK soil, which basically blew up the club scene. Torso Records did a compilation. So Mr. Todd Terry, the one and only. What else? Most listened to album in 2022. This is number 7. Well, this is an interesting one. I've never really got tired of listening to this. Now don't get bored, because I'm gonna tell you it is electronic music, but it's like a folk artist that uses electronics to really produce her music. It's not really acoustic, which is quite interesting. And the artist is Me Lost Me, and the album is The Good Noise. There she is on the back. This was, if you can see that, trying to stop the glare. Yeah, he's a UK folk artist. Her name is Jane Dent, and she has released under her real name. But one of the questions in this is getting or attaining something that's not music related or not a music format. So I'll come on to that in a minute. But that's how I found this. I was introduced to it by a magazine I subscribe to, and it's just epic. The first track, Airlock, is unbelievable. I like a good music system, and the bass on it is just fantastic. I mean, if you've got a good system and you wait for that synth bass to kick in, it's just wow, it just hits you. You think, wow, where did that come from? But I love it because it's just, the thing about electronic music, a lot of it is the layers. There's just so many layers to it, and you can pick them apart. You can listen to them floating around in your headspace, and that's what this is. It's like layers of electronic sounds and music with very folk type lyrics and folk delivery. She's got an excellent voice, so really interesting. Check her out on Bandcamp. I can't remember actually if you have to search for Jane Dent. No, look up Me Lost Me, and you'll find her. So that was number 7. Number 8, most listened to artist in 2022. Well, this was for 2 reasons. I'll give the first one right now. The second one will be evident as we get down through these questions. I think the most listened to artist in 2022 was Depeche Mode. As you can see, I've got all the box sets of 12-inch singles except Violator. Unfortunately, I just dragged my heels on that one, and now people are trying to get $1,500 for it, which is ridiculous. They'll never get that. It's just stupid. It's all these greedy flippers. But anyway, because they've been releasing all these remastered 12-inch singles in box sets over the last few years, I've just been sitting down actually trying to listen to them all. So that's an easy one for me. Australian artist. Well, I did actually find this in my box of cassettes. I said I still got lots of cassettes. In Excess, Kick, so you could have that. But the one I really went for, because I just really like the album, I know somebody else has featured this artist, is Icehouse. Ooh, get the camera angle right. Icehouse, Primitive Man. What a great album. Of course, Hey Little Girl, but also Street Cafe, Glam, Great Southern Land. What a tune. The vocals on, I just love the vocals on that. So emotive. So excellent, very good. Surprising purchase of 2022. Well, you know, if you sit and listen to me, you think all I ever listen to is electronic music. You'd be wrong. I do love it, and I listen to a lot of it. But I've got a broad selection, broad taste. One thing I don't really listen to anymore is rock music, guitar music. It just doesn't do anything for me anymore. There are some Pink Floyd I listen to, the usual. But back in the early 70s, early to mid 70s, I listened to a lot of rock. Rainbow, Deep Purple, Tigers of Pantang, Saxon, who else? Lots of different artists. Growing up in England, that's what a lot of my friends were listening to. But I just got bored with it really quickly. But I kept seeing over the last year all these references to the group Tool, and I'd seen some of their stuff on YouTube, not really been taken with it. I thought, that's not really good, I don't know what the big deal is. And then I heard the track Invincible live, and I thought, wow, that is pretty special. Then, quite by chance, somebody in one of the audio forum groups I belong to sent a link saying, hey, quick, jump on this if you're into the band. Amazon are selling the box set for about $55. Fear Inoculum. You're going to get a lot of glare on this because it's so glossy. This is the box set. It's basically how many albums is it? I can't even remember how many albums it is now. Let's have a look here. Let's count them. 5 albums. Each one is a single-sided pressing because the reverse side is etched. It's got some fantastic artwork in it. But when I realised Invincible was on this set, I thought, well, you know what? I'll buy it. I can always rip it or use the download code, keep it if I'm not overly taken with it, and then sell it. But what an album! Very surprised at the whole album. I just think, I've used this word before, it is epic, it is fantastic. Now that's not to say I'm a Tool convert or a rock convert, just for me, that was my surprise purchase. Okay, number 11, artist I have the complete discography. Now, I think I heard somebody else say this. I used to be a terrible completist. I'd have to have everything. Kraftwerk, Gary Newman, Depeche Mode, Human League, Japan, you name it. Any band that I listen to, I want everything. Coloured vinyl variants, picture variants, different country releases, and then I just got to realise, oh, what a futile endeavour that is. Half the time you're going to buy stuff you're never going to listen to, and you just really buying it for your own. For me, I was just buying it for my own ego, just to say I've got it, got everything, and that's not what I'm about. I like the music. But I also had another realisation that very often artists that we like started off with very humble beginnings, and sometimes when you start collecting, trying to find their material from humble beginnings becomes a real challenge and a very expensive one. So now I'm not saying this artist here is anything significant, but I have everything they have released as this artist. So the artist is Figure Study. Very well, how shall I describe this? Not really dance music, but it's very heavy electronic music. They've done a single, both released on the label Dark Entries. The single has the track Lesson 1 and Pirouette. The track that really got me switched on, I actually heard in a DJ set. The DJ pitched it up a little bit. It was a track called Wait, and it's on this album. It's just epic. Vocal tune just harks back to a lot of stuff from the 80s. A little bit reminiscent of the 80s band Hardcore from Belgium. So yeah, really like that. Now they've only released 2 things, so is it cheating? I have their full discography. It's pretty easy to do, really. But who knows? Sometime in the future, the artist might get involved with other projects, become famous, move on to other more commercially widespread material, and then this becomes even more desirable. So yeah, I mean, whether you give that any credit or not, up to you. I don't care. So anyway, where are we? Number 12. Great run of 3 albums. Again, I think this question gave me the most trouble because there were so many artists I wanted to feature. Kraftwerk being one. I certainly really wanted to bring out the Kraftwerk for that. Gary Newman again. Depeche Mode. Jazz. I like jazz. I love jazz. Some of the Miles Davis albums. There's some really, excuse the pun, smoking albums by Miles Davis when he was with his quintet. But it's not a trilogy. It's 4 albums. I think it's Smoking, Steaming, Working and Cooking. Just absolutely glorious albums. But I went with another music style I really love. Funk, particularly P-Funk. I went with Parliaments, the clones of Dr. Funkenstein from 1975. The Mothership Connection from 76. And just the album I have never stopped playing. Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome even. And yeah, I've got the comic and poster and everything with that. What a fantastic album. Flashlight, Bop Gun, just glorious P-Funk tracks. Music that's been sampled over and over again in numerous different pop genres, music genres. So that was an easy one. Once I actually sat down and thought about it. Now, I said I'd mention this band again. This is for the next question, number 13, 80s soundtrack. This band actually really built up quite a reputation for soundtrack music, and that is Tangerine Dream. This is the album Thief from 1981, the Michael Mann movie, and the sheer nature of their music is very movie orientated. They just have that glorious wide soundscape of layers of electronics, which just lends itself to atmospheric movies. So easy one, 1980 soundtrack. Where are we? Someone Who Died in 2022. Again, this is another reason why Depeche Mode was the most played artist, because we lost Andy Fletcher from Depeche Mode, so another reason to play that. 15. Disappointing purchase. Well, this was disappointing because I really liked this band. Well, I did like this band. I've got the deluxe editions of The Hurting, Songs of the Big Chair, Sowing the Seeds of Love, and that's Tears for Fears. This is Tipping Point. They released from last year. This was the Target special edition, which everybody said to buy because it's on colour vinyl, sky blue, but it came with a bonus 7-inch, which you didn't get on a lot of the other pressings. And they said that the 7-inch was actually fantastic, and it is good actually. The 7-inch is actually better than the material on the album. The album I just find disjointed. I find there's no real connection between the tracks. They seem to be lost in creative directivity, and side A doesn't seem to go with side B. It just seems like in this album it doesn't really do anything for me, which is a real shame. I want to like it, but unfortunately I can't. Non-vinyl purchase. Now, remember I said, where is it? How I found this album, Me Lost Me, the Good Noise. That's because I subscribed to this magazine, Electronic Sound. This is a great magazine. I get it shipped from England, ironically enough, from the place I was born. That's where it's published in England, a place called Norwich. And it's a really informative magazine. Every kind of genre of electronic music you could wish to know about is featured in these magazines. But they do features on famous electronic music of the past. They interview the artists, how they created that music, the hassle involved in doing it with limited access to equipment, the limited budgets they had, right up to modern day electronic music and what's going on in the electronic music scene. It's really good. It's not strictly what's the question again? Non-vinyl purchase. It's not strictly a non-vinyl purchase, because with every edition you do get a free vinyl 7-inch. This one actually came, because the main features on Jean-Michel Jarre, came with a remastered version of his first single, La Cage, and Eros Machine, which is, they usually press these on colour vinyls. This is like a transparent silver. But occasionally they will do a best of series, and that will come with a CD. And it was one of the tracks on the CD that how I found The Good Noise. So really good. If you want to get involved with electronic music, can't go far wrong with that magazine. Found a Grail. Well, I did feature this in my very first video I did for the VC. Only took me over 40 years to find this. I had it ordered brand new when it was released, and the record shop in England, but they never got it, because for good reason. This is Gary Newman's album Photograph. Gary deleted it on the day of release. Beggars Banquet of Germany decided to do the best of and released it without fully consulting Gary, and he felt that he wasn't experienced enough, you could say, or didn't have the credibility to justify having a best of album and such early on in his career, so he asked him to pull it. So a very few copies got out. It's very difficult to find a mint copy like this. A lot of them have people's names written on them, the covers are tatty, There's writing all on the rear covers, but I managed to find a minty copy from Germany last year, only after 40 years of waiting. So good things come to those that wait, so my mother used to say. Spaced theme album sleeve. Well, again, being an electronic music fan, not shy of a few space themed sleeves, but I thought I'd show you these. These are the box. Sorry again, it's going to be CDs. These are the box set editions of Dark Side of the Moog. That's not Moon, that's Moog. This is Klaus Schulze and Pete Namlook. Pete Namlook is no longer with us. Had his own label called Fax Records. 5 CDs per box. Very much a take on all the, or a lot of the Pink Floyd material, but again, kind of ambient experimental electronica. Every box is kind of universe type pictures, so very good. ECLT present or gift, never done it, so looking forward to doing that in the future. But I have some gifts I could willingly send out to those that like house music. These are unplayed original copies on tracks, 7 inches, only 7 inch they've released. So if you're interested in doing some exchanges, tell me. And finally, an album released in 1973. I really wanted to do Ralph Lauren by Kraftwerk, but I went with Realization by Eddie Henderson. Superb jazz funk album. It's got Herbie Hancock on there, Lenny White, Pat Gleason, Billy Hart, Bernie Maupin, so really all-star jazz cast. What I would ask is if anybody else has got Mahal and coming through, or can get them for me in really good condition, I'll be very interested. Lost my copies years ago, still looking for them. So that's it really. Hope you enjoyed it. Until the next one, latest.